have attended events such as a wedding, school prom, school awards night, school play, charity gala, an opening night at the theatre, sports award, or corporate dinner? You've probably spent time considering what to wear, how to arrive, and who else might be there. If you've watched bright light events such as the BAFTAs, the red carpet is laid out, a schedule for the star's arrival is drawn up, security is put into place, areas are cordoned off for the press, and barriers put up to hold back the crowds. Considerable time is spent in preparation for these events. We don't have a film or picture of Jesus' bright light stardom moment of arriving in Jerusalem. But Matthew's Gospel indicated that this was not a spontaneous event, and you can read that in Matthew 21 verses 1 to 11. Jewish pilgrims, especially those who didn't live in Jerusalem, made a pilgrimage to its temple to celebrate 3 major festivals a year. Jesus entered on this occasion with the pilgrims to celebrate the Passover, a festival in which pilgrims remembered their ancestors' story of liberation from slavery in Egypt. To enter the bright lights of busy Jerusalem at festival time needed organisation. And in the Bible passage, there are words such as sent, needed, and directed, which express this organisation. Disciples were sent to a village, explained what Jesus needed, and then returned with the donkey and her colt, completing Jesus' directions. I think that prior preparation was made with the owner of the donkeys, so that when the disciples went to collect them, the owner was ready to give them up immediately. The disciples were prepared to help Jesus get ready to enter Jerusalem, even if they had reservations. Jesus had told them that he would die soon, and they knew there was a warrant out for his arrest. They may have preferred that Jesus hid in safety in the hills of Galilee. However, Jesus planned to head straight towards the bright lights of the city. He needed his disciples' help and the owner of the donkeys to let him borrow his livestock to make the plan work. Today there is still work to do to make the world a better place for everyone. Are we ready? Are we ready to love? We might feel inadequate and not up to the task, but take heart. God believes in us. We are invited to play our part and offer what we can to be part of God's ongoing transformation of the world. We might not have a donkey to offer, but instead we can offer our time to connect with someone else, perhaps through a telephone call. And these calls really do make a difference to people, especially if they are housebound, shielding, or a single parent just needing another adult to talk to. We may not need to collect a donkey, but instead we can collect shopping and prescriptions for others. We might collect church worship DVDs, which we deliver each week. This makes a difference, helps make life a little bit better, and enables people to feel connected. Make an entrance. At celebration events, we may want to look our best, especially if we are exposed to the bright lights of photos and videos being taken. We may wish to be remembered for prosperity with our hair in place, shoes shined, and looking good in our new outfits. We may wish to be remembered for prosperity, with our hair in place, shoes shined, and looking good in our new outfits. I also think the stars want to be recognised as they walk down the red carpet at the BAFTAs. The bright lights of photos and videos can be helpful publicity and beneficial to their careers. In ancient times, people of power wanted to make an entrance and be recognised too. In 46 BC, Julius Caesar defeated his enemies, the Gauls. To celebrate his victory, he made a grand entrance into Rome. He arrived in a chariot pulled by strong, powerful horses, and behind him followed a long chain of captives. Caesar's soldiers distributed silver and gold to the delighted crowds. In Rome, there were loud parties and public games. The Roman Emperor Caesar revelled in his stardom moment, although many participating in this celebration probably did it not out of choice but out of fear and coercion. Jesus' entrance to Jerusalem was remarkably different. The crowds treated him as a king, but he didn't coerce them. He didn't have a horse, but he borrowed a donkey. And the crowds chose to follow him because on that day they really loved him, and Jesus accepted their adoration. As they shouted, cut down palm branches for the road, they remembered their history and the celebration of King David's victory over his enemies. Jesus calculated that his choice of a donkey might remind people of the words in the book of the prophet Zechariah. The prophets wrote that a king would enter Jerusalem riding on a donkey to bring peace to all the nations. Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. In contrast to conquering leaders who rode horses, Jesus chose a donkey, an animal used in peaceful domestic life. This symbolised that he came in peace. There was a warrant for his arrest when Jesus entered the volatile, bright lights of Jerusalem. He knew that some people expected a king who would make Israel strong and free from foreign oppression. He knew that some people wanted a king who would shatter, smash, and break the status quo. He knew people wanted immediate action, especially if they struggled under the heavy burden of Roman taxes and Jewish temple taxes. Did he use his power to overthrow the leaders to provide a quick fix solution? No. Instead, his entrance was one of peaceful protest. He arrived surrounded by the crowds of ordinary, adoring folk. His arrival was subversive, but it still challenged the powerful Roman and Jewish leaders. So what about us? Are we prepared to step into the bright lights of other people's gaze? Do we live by the values we say we believe in? If we say we follow Jesus, aim to live in peace and love, does this make a difference to people who encounter us? You may engage in the bright lights of a hospital, school, supermarket, care home, vaccination centre or other key worker role. I thank you for what you do and pray that you will have strength and courage for your work. I pray that as a follower of Jesus, that God's love will be reflected in your words and actions, that simply being there will make a difference to the people whom you work with and care for. You may engage with the world through the bright lights of your computer or your television screen. I thank you for all you do and pray that you will have the strength and perseverance to keep working and keep listening to others. I pray that as a follower of Jesus, that God's love will be reflected in your words and actions, that simply being there to give a wave to your neighbour from your window or being at an online meeting will make a difference to the people in your street, the people whom you work with, your household, your friends and family, and your church community. However the spotlight falls on us, the invitation is to use our power wisely and be a faithful example of a Christian following God, whatever the circumstances. Bright lights forever? There may be some celebration events which we have attended that lived up to all our expectations. We experienced a bright light moment which glows in our memory. When stars win an award, the memory of the BAFTA night glows brightly for them too. But sometimes we, and the stars, may have been disappointed when the event didn't live up to our expectations. Jesus entered the bright lights of Jerusalem and caused a stir. Matthew records that the city was in turmoil. He was loved by the crowds who travelled with him, but others simply asked, "Who is this? Would this man, who is being treated like a king, deliver? What will he do next? Anything spectacular?" Matthew's Gospel showed that what Jesus did next shone a light on the corruption prevalent in the city, particularly in the temple, where he challenged the religious authorities. He reclaimed the temple as a house of prayer, and he taught in the temple. He told people through the story of the wedding banquet about God's abundant love and grace, which is offered to everyone. He told people of God's great command to love our neighbours as ourselves. He challenged the religious establishment's narrow view of God. At each occasion, there was opportunity for hard-hearted people to change their minds and hearts. But some of the Jewish leaders plotted to kill him. Palm Sunday is the start of Holy Week, when Christians remember the last days of Jesus' life. I think the uplifting experience of Palm Sunday helped sustain Jesus and his disciples during the last days, as the light faded. During the last days, human behaviour was seen at its worst. When a friend betrayed Jesus, Jesus was captured, and the crowd shouted for his crucifixion. Real, long-lasting star quality is not based on the type of car travelled in or the cost of an outfit chosen for a celebration event. Real, long-lasting star quality is not based on the glamour of a red carpet or receiving an award at the BAFTAs. Real, long-lasting star quality is not based on riding a donkey over palm branches and coats while crowds shout praise. Real, long-lasting star quality is based on love, held on to through pain. On Palm Sunday, Jesus embraced the stardom moment, but during the events of Holy Week, he also embraced the messiness of life. He showed love despite the pain he encountered. He shone with God's goodness even when humanity was at its worst. In John chapter 8, Jesus said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Who is Jesus? God's Son who came to save the world. Today we may long for the bright lights of city life or want to attend a celebration event again, and this is something we can look forward to. The reality is that for most of the time, life is ordinary. However mundane our tasks may feel, however routine life is, we can choose to love and reflect God's goodness and light. Ordinary tasks done with love will then be transformed into extraordinary moments of kindness and grace. May we have courage to reflect Jesus' long-lasting star quality of being authentic people who help light up the world for others. Amen.